Hello everyone, today we're going to be starting the next unit, which is all about triangles. So, this unit is called Pythagorean Theorem. The Pythagorean Theorem. And yeah, it's basically dealing with right triangles. So let's go ahead and get started. I don't know why this is in the middle of the thing. It should be down here. Okay, so a right triangle is a triangle with one 90-degree angle. And what it looks like, one of the many ways you can draw a right triangle is like this. You'll always see a little square here, and that denotes the 90 degrees. So that's how you know it's 90 degrees, not by looking at it, because it has that little square. Okay? Now, there's different parts of a right triangle. Okay? First thing is called the hypotenuse. Okay? And that's this really long side here, the diagonal part of a triangle. Okay? It's always right across from the right angle, so directly across, and it's always the longest side, okay? The hypotenuse is always the longest side. Now, the other parts are called the legs, okay? And that's these two sides right here, right? Those sides are always adjacent or next to the right triangle, so they're the ones that actually make this angle right here. They make up that square. So these two sides are called the legs. And these two are always shorter, the two shorter sides. They're shorter than the hypotenuse one. Okay? Now, because there's three different sides and there's even two different legs, we actually use letters to help us figure out which one's which. So the legs, we'll put an A or a B around, and it really doesn't matter which one's A or B, because we know that A or B are representing legs. The hypotenuse is represented with the letter C. Okay? So the hypotenuse will get a C, and the other two, the legs, will get A or B. Alright? And that's really important because that will help us with the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem is basically an equation that if it comes out true, it means that those sides will make a right triangle. Okay? And this is the theorem, that if you square side A plus side B squared, you'll actually get the hypotenuse, the C side, squared as well. Okay? But two sides, when you square them and add them together, they'll equal the third side squared. Okay? So, and that's what we use to check it. We can use that to find a missing side, lots of different things. Now, this will be on your formula sheet, so you don't have to memorize it. However, you probably will by the end of this year. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay? So, in example 1, we are going to find the missing side. Okay? So we're going to use this theorem to find our missing side right here. Now, it's really important that you get that A, B, and C sides labeled. Okay? So if we look at this triangle, we have this side is 7 inches, this side is 2 inches, and those two sides are making this right angle here. So that is side A. Where did I put my little thingy? A. And B. Where's my little letter? I have a letter there, I promise. There it is. Side A and side B. And this side, the longest side, which we should know is our hypotenuse, we're going to put C here. Okay? So basically, we're going to plug in the letters that we know into this formula and solve for the one we don't. Okay? So we're going to start off with our Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay? Now, we already know what A is, so we're going to plug in 7 for A and 2 for B. So now we are going to have 7 squared plus 2 squared equals C squared. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and do our squaring now because that's the next step according to GEMDAS. So 7 squared is 49, 2 squared is 4, so we have that. Now we're going to go ahead and add the 49 plus 4, and oops, oh well, let me move that over here. and we get 53 equals c squared. Now this is not the length of the side here, because 53 is what c squared equals. We want to know what c equals. So we have to undo the squaring for both sides to figure out just what c equals. So to undo squaring, we square root it. So we're going to square root both sides, okay? Because a square root and a square will cancel each other out. So this side will just be left with c. And then this one we can do in our calculator. So we get 7.28 equals c. And that's the side of the hypotenuse, okay? And we could just go ahead and flip that around. So it's c equals 7.28 inches, which makes sense because our hypotenuse should be the longest side, and this is longer than either of these two sides, okay? So we just go ahead and circle it, okay? Now you guys are going to try to find the missing side on this triangle, okay? All right, example 2. We're going to find the missing side again, but if you notice, the one that's missing is actually one of our legs, okay? We have our hypotenuse filled in, we have one of the legs filled in, but we don't have the other one filled in. So first thing I'm going to do is label. This is my C. This is my, I don't know, what did I put? Did I put anything? I don't think I put anything. This is my B, but I don't know what happened to my B. Oh, I blocked it. How did I do that? I just want to type in a B. Weird. Anyway, write a B right here. Yeah, I don't know why this keeps happening. Oh dear. Okay, write a little B right here. I don't know what's happening. That's side B. Weird. Okay, so now that I've labeled, I can go ahead and fill in my Pythagorean theorem. So that's what I did. I have a squared plus, instead of b, I'm going to put 5 squared, because that's what my b is, equals c squared, but instead of c, I'm going to put 8. Okay? Yeah, that's what I was filling in. Okay, so now I'm going to simplify what I can. I don't know what a squared is, so I'm going to keep that. I do know what 5 squared is, it's 25. And I know what 8 squared is, it's 64. So I go ahead and write that out. Now I'm going to solve for a squared, just get it by itself. So that means I need to get rid of the plus 25. So I subtract 25 from both sides. And now I'm left with the same thing. A squared equals 39. Now to undo a squared, I have to square root it. Okay? Square root here and square root on the other side. The square root and the square will cancel out, leaving me with a. And I do the square root of 39, I get 6.24 feet. Okay? And I know that that makes sense because that is smaller than my hypotenuse. Okay? So I know it actually makes sense as a leg. Alright? Now you guys are going to try this one on your own. Go ahead and use the Pythagorean theorem to figure out what's missing. The last example is basically doing the same thing, but now we're going to check to see if it's a right angle. So this time we have all 3 sides, and we're going to plug all 3 into the Pythagorean theorem to determine if it actually is a right triangle. We know it's going to be a right triangle if when we plug everything in, it actually comes out to be equal. That's how we know it's a right triangle. Okay? So the first thing we have to do is label everything. So we have 48 feet, 60 feet, and 78 feet are the sides of my triangle. Well, we know that 2 sides, they don't really matter which letter they get, A or B, but one side always has to be the C. And that side is the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always the longest side, so 78 feet here is my hypotenuse, so that's going to get a C. These two, it doesn't really matter which one's A or B, so I just go A and B. Okay? The biggest one always has to be your C, though. Has to. Okay? So now I'm going to go ahead and plug it in to my Pythagorean theorem right here. So now I have 48 squared plus 60 squared equals 78 squared. And yes, these are big numbers. You will need to use your calculator for it, but you have one, so it should be fine. So 48 squared gives me 2,304. 60 squared gives me 3,600. And 78 squared gives me 6,084. So now I'm going to add this side and see if it actually comes out to be 6,084. So this side together gives me 5,904, but that's not equal to the 6,084. So because it didn't come out true, this does not create a right triangle. And I would write my answer like this. These are not the sides of a right triangle because the sum of a squared and b squared is not equal to c squared. You could also write it's not a right triangle because it doesn't work in the Pythagorean theorem. It doesn't work for a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That would be totally fine. This will probably be a question we ask you to explain why you think so. So you need to be able to say, oh, it doesn't work in the Pythagorean theorem. Like a squared plus b squared doesn't equal c squared. That all works. Okay? And you guys are going to try this one on your own, and I want you to write an explanation. Okay? Practice writing an explanation like this. That's it for the video. If you guys have any questions, please make sure you write them down and come up and ask. All that fun stuff. Other than that, I will see you guys next time. And that's all I got for you. Bye! Oh, I said bye before I even pulled this up. Okay. Bye, guys.